Welcome back to another video of Ingress Online Training. On this chapter, we will focus on the basics of scheduling and attendance settings and reports on Ingress software. On Ingress software, users can configure 3 types of schedule to fulfill different scheduling types for all organizations. Let's start with the first scheduling type, weekly schedule. Weekly clocking schedule is the most commonly used clocking schedule by all organizations. Weekly clocking schedule is usually used when weekends are considered as off days and the rest of the week are considered as working days. Now, to create a weekly clocking schedule in Ingress software, go to the Attendance tab, click on the clocking schedule, then click on the Add clocking schedule button. Inside the clocking schedule, New clocking schedule, insert the schedule ID. Remember that using this schedule ID, you can create a group duty roster for the specific clocking schedule. The name of the clocking schedule, and from the work schedule type, you can select the clocking schedule type that you want. Weekly, daily, or flexi. If you have any description for your clocking schedule, you can write it down here. Press OK to proceed to the clocking schedule details and rules. Once you have created the clocking schedule, you will be prompted to the clocking time page. At this page, you can define the working days of the week in the weekly clocking schedule, as well as the time for in, break, resume, out, overtime period, and done from overtime period. Now, the first step is to select the days that you consider as working day. Click on Edit. At the day type, in front of the date, click on the arrow to select what type of day is each day of the week. If you have more than one day rest day or off day, you can select it at this clocking schedule. For the rest, you can insert the time of your clocking schedule accordingly in each column. In time for entering to the work, break time if there is any at your company, resume from break or the end of break time, and then the out time for break. At this column, overtime and done period of clocking can be used for 2 different purposes. One is an extra interval including the dinner time between out time and OT time, and another one is your definition of the overtime period that the users can perform overtime. Hence, by entering the time here and clicking save, you can select which one of these at the general tab is the purpose of entering the time for the OT and done column. Whether the work time recorded into OT and done column is considered as overtime or the normal working hour. If you select normal working hour, in this case, between 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. is considered as dinner time or the second break of the day. If every other day of the week except for the rest day follows the same clocking times, you can click on the copy button below each column. Click on Edit, Copy to have the same information inserted. Some companies, they have the last working day of the week as the half day. So take note that inside the weekly clocking schedule, you can specifically define the time for in, break, resume, out for each day in difference. Once you are done inserting the time and selecting the day types of the week in the weekly clocking schedule, you can refer to the rules if any of them are applicable to your company. The first rule is the round to nearest minutes. Using this rule for each column, you can insert the rounding time for your clocking. For an example, if I select 15 minutes of rounding and select the rounding up, if a user comes to work between 9 to 9:15, his clocking inside the attendance sheet automatically will be saved as 9:15. If I select rounding down and a user comes to work between 9 to 9:15, any clocking that has been done within this period will be saved as 9 o'clock. If you do not have any of these rules applicable to your company, you can just leave them blank. Next is the allow grace period in minutes. This means that you allow the users to be 30 minutes or the defined time in front of the allow grace period to be early out or late in to work. For an example, if a user comes to work at 9:15, his clocking time will not be considered as late because within 30 minutes of time, there is an allow grace period for the user to be late. This can be applicable to those companies that are located in a very highly jammed area or busy areas. The next option is the flexible break time in minutes. Using weekly clocking schedule, you can have a flexible break time for the users without defining a specific time. However, you are required to define the interval of your flexible break time. For an example, if I select the flexible break time for my break and resume period between 12 p.m. to 15 for 60 minutes, it means that I am allowing the users to go to break for 60 minutes anytime between 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. If you do not have any flexible break time in minutes, you can just ignore this option. The next one is the exclude break time from total working hours. By selecting this option, if any of the users take any break time, the amount of break time has been taken by the user will be deducted from the total work hours he has done. When you are done entering the clocking time and selecting the working days of your weekly clocking schedule, you can proceed to selecting the clocking range for each of these clocking intervals in your clocking schedule. At the clocking range tab, for any of the days and for any of the clockings, you can insert a clocking range. Now if I insert the clocking range for Monday morning for in time at 11:30 a.m., it means that until 11:30 a.m., any of the clockings that has been done by the users inside the attendance sheet will be displayed as in clocking. Originally, if you leave the whole clocking range as blank, the midpoint of the clocking times that you have set inside the clocking schedule will be the clocking range for each of the column. For example, if you leave this blank at the clocking range, the in time is at 9 a.m. and the break time is at 12 p.m. 10:30 is the clocking range between in time and break time, meaning that before 10:30, any clocking that has been done by the users will fall into the in clocking of the attendance sheet, and after 10:30 until the next range, which in this case is 1:30, will fall into the break time. Now if you have any clocking ranges, you can insert the time for each of the days inside the clocking range setting of your clocking schedule. The next option is the replace with latest clocking. This is for those who are specifically using the access control terminals for attendance as well. This means that if my out time inside the clocking schedule is set at 6 p.m., I can select the replace with latest clocking in case anyone has used the machine to go out of the door and come back in again. This will make sure that the latest clock out time will be displayed inside the clocking schedule out time. You can select this option for any of the columns of the clocking as you wish. The next option is enable attendance records from selected devices. In case you are using multiple devices for different clocking types, you can select the attendance to be taken for which one of the devices for any of the doors or any of the clockings. For example, if you are using two devices and you want the clockings for the in time to be taken for clock A, you can select this machine, and if you want the out clockings to be selected from device B, you can select this machine. When you are done performing the setting of your clocking range, click Save to move on to the next general rules.